Verse 10, "He who leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He who kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints." This verse affirms God's justice and the ultimate downfall of the beast and his followers. It echoes the principle of divine retribution found in Jeremiah chapter 15 verse 2 and Matthew chapter 26 verse 52. The saints are called to endure with patience and faith, knowing that God will vindicate them. Continuing from verse 9, this verse provides a crucial reminder of the divine justice that governs the universe. The assurance that those who lead others into captivity will themselves go into captivity, and those who kill with the sword will themselves be killed by the sword, reinforces the biblical principle that God will repay evil with appropriate recompense. This concept of divine retribution is not new. It is deeply rooted in the Scriptures. Jeremiah chapter 15 verse 2 speaks of a similar fate for those who persist in their rebellion against God, and Matthew chapter 26 verse 52 records Jesus' admonition that all who take the sword will perish by the sword. This principle underscores the immutable justice of God. It serves as a stark reminder to the oppressors and persecutors that their actions are not unnoticed and that divine justice will prevail. The beast, empowered by Satan and his followers, may seem to have the upper hand temporarily, but their ultimate end is certain. God's justice will be meted out, ensuring that every act of violence and oppression will be recompensed. This divine retribution is both a warning to the wicked and a comfort to the righteous, affirming that God's sovereign justice will eventually triumph over all evil. For the saints enduring persecution, this verse offers a powerful encouragement. It calls for patience and faith, virtues that are indispensable in the face of trials and tribulations. The term patience here conveys more than mere waiting. It signifies steadfast endurance and perseverance under pressure. The saints are called to exhibit a steadfast endurance that does not waver even in the face of severe persecution. This patience is not passive resignation, but an active, robust endurance that maintains faith and hope in God's promises. Faith, as mentioned in this verse, is the trust in God's ultimate justice and his ability to vindicate his people. The faith of the saints is anchored in the knowledge that God sees their suffering, hears their cries, and will act in his perfect timing to bring about justice. This faith is not blind, it is grounded in the historical acts of God's deliverance and the prophetic assurances of his ultimate victory. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1 defines faith as the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. The saint's faith is a confident trust in God's character and his promises, even when circumstances seem dire. The context of Revelation chapter 13, which describes the rise of the beast and the severe persecution of believers, makes this call to patience and faith even more poignant. The saints are facing an unprecedented level of persecution, deception, and oppression. The beast's power and the world's worship of him create an environment where standing firm in one's faith is both difficult and dangerous. Yet it is precisely in this context that the call to patience and faith becomes crucial. It is a call to trust in God's sovereignty and his ultimate plan, even when the immediate future looks bleak. This verse also serves as a theological anchor for the doctrine of divine retribution and justice. It reassures believers that God's justice is not arbitrary, but is deeply rooted in his righteous character. The fate of those who lead into captivity and kill with the sword is sealed by the unchanging nature of God's justice. This assurance helps believers to withstand the apparent success of the wicked, knowing that their triumph is temporary and their judgment is certain. The patience and faith of the saints are further emphasized throughout the book of Revelation. In Revelation chapter 14 verse 12, believers are again called to patient endurance and faithfulness to Jesus, underscoring the ongoing need for these virtues in the face of end times trials. This recurring theme highlights the centrality of endurance and faith in the Christian life, especially during times of intense persecution and tribulation. The ultimate vindication of the saints is assured by the promise of Christ's return and the establishment of his millennial kingdom. The pre-trib rapture, as described in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and 1 Corinthians chapter 15, provides additional comfort and hope to believers. The church will be spared from the worst of the tribulation, yet it also acknowledges that those who come to faith during the tribulation will face severe trials and persecution. The literal 1,000-year reign of Christ, as described in Revelation chapter 20, verses 1 through 6, provides the ultimate context for understanding the vindication of the saints. This period will be marked by Christ's righteous rule, where justice will prevail and the saints will reign with him. The assurance of this future reign provides a powerful motivation for enduring present sufferings with patience and faith. Verse 10 provides a profound affirmation of God's justice and the ultimate downfall of the beast and his followers. It echoes the principle of divine retribution found throughout Scripture and calls the saints to endure with patience and faith. This endurance and faith are grounded in the assurance of God's ultimate justice and the hope of Christ's return. As believers navigate the trials and tribulations of the end times, they are called to steadfastly trust in God's promises and to persevere in their faith, knowing that their vindication is certain. This verse serves as a powerful reminder that, despite the apparent triumph of evil, God's justice will prevail and his people will be vindicated.